Hi everyone. What I'd like to do in this video is just to take you through the activities and support I'm giving you regarding the HR budget session 4 elements. So let me go to the page on my SACAP. It will look different in yours because I've got a teacher view. And there will be a little few more things here that I will load, but let me explain what there is here so far. Is assessment 2 question 3 HR department budget worked example. That is the instructions for you, and then for what I'll use as the worked example instructions. And then the second document here is an Excel spreadsheet that works on the basis of those instructions, and I'll show you all the calculations in Excel sheets in a step-by-step way. So here you will follow me, you will listen to what I'm saying now, and you will also work through the example on your own, and you'll sit with the answer sheet with you, and you'll hopefully get to grips with that in that way. So then what I'm going to do is I'm giving you an activity that is the same instructions as you would receive as you've got in the module outline. Rather, I've just added a couple of explanations like I've done here in the first Word document to just clarify exactly the nature of the HR budget compared to the total company budgets in other departments. But essentially the calculation instructions are the same as for your question 3. The same with this worked example here, the calculations are the same, the numbers are different, but the calculation method is the same numbers are different. So I'm going to talk to you about these two, explaining most of that, and then I will briefly show you the activity that you need to I recommend that you engage in, and I've got a model answer for that, and I suggest you first do the activity and then look at the model answer and repeat that if necessary until you grasp the calculations. One other thing I want to mention is that as an introduction is that under the assessment banner over here, I've uploaded the template that you must please use as the answer sheet for your question 3. It is here, it says here assessment 2 question 3 HR department budget answer template, and please note that this replaces the template that is in a module outline. So don't use that one, don't download the one in a module outline, use this one. The module outline one is outdated. This template is the correct one to use. Okay. And it may as well also just remind you of session 3, the trial balance adjustments. I've also, for ease of access, downloaded that template, and it is available over here, over there. You can then get it. Okay, well, you don't want to do that. Just go back there, and you can click on that, and it will ask you to download, and you will do it, and you take it to where you want it. Okay, so that's just going back to question 2. For ease of access, this particular one for question 3 is not just for ease of access, it is a must that you take it from here. Okay, this Excel worksheet, I'll show you it in a short while is the updated one. And the various workings that I will be explaining to you at the end of that, I use that template to illustrate what the answer will look like. In the activity that you will do on your own, I use the same template with, of course, there are different numbers. So you must use this template. All my explanations refer to the end product, which is this template. Okay, so what else is there on this page? I don't think there's anything else on this page. Just a reminder, assessment 1 year, there's a mistake in the label here. That's assessment 2 and that's assessment 3. And the module engagement, ME here, in the module outline is called assessment 1. Okay, just so that you don't get confused with that. So let me go to the worksheets and the Word documents. I'll first go to, let me just see which is this one. This is the activity. It will be the same. I don't want to go through this one. This is the one you'll do on your own. So I will go to, I think it's this one, the simulation. I'll call it a simulation where I'll go through the step-by-step with you. There's quite a bit that I've written here. There's a lot more here than in the module outline. But what I want you to understand is the context of HR department budget relative to other departments and the total company and the role of HR. So I've just given you some explanation to contextualize it. In a module outline, the instructions will be much shorter. But when you do that, keep this in mind and the way that I'm explaining it to you. Okay, so let me make this a bit bigger for you. One page, and then hopefully you can see that. So I will be showing you the workings for this shortly and go through that step by step. So basically, based on information provided, complete the HR department budget for XYZ company. And I'm emphasizing this is the HR department. The HR department is where the HR director or general manager or vice president or whatever the title is has sole responsibility or has responsibility for and can be held accountable for the budget numbers in the HR department budget. So we're not going to do capital expenditure that's beyond the scope of this exercise, and you'll do it for the year ending 31 December, and you'll use the template provided, which I've explained to you. And also in our example here, we use a annual budget calculation. In practice, you would be drawing up a budget for each month of the year to arrive at an annual budget. And in some companies, you may also have rolling budgets where budgets are updated more frequently. But for the sake of this course, this module, we're doing it annually, and we explain it as such. So hopefully you can get a good understanding, a fair understanding of what budgets look like and kind of the context, the concepts behind that. So this would be typical companies' budget planning starts well before a year end, before they get into the new year. So in this case, XYZ company's budget planning starts in September and it is completed in October after the September results are available. So for the purpose of the budget, XYZ company uses the 9-month actual, January to September, and then they add 3 months estimate or forecast to arrive at the current year 2022, in this case performance estimate, which sets the base for drawing up the budget for the following year 2023. Okay, and each department will kind of work accordingly to that, and also the total company budget calculations. So I'm explaining the HR division role in these several bullet points, and I'm going to work through this with you because I think it's important for you to understand particularly the HR and HR's role relative to line managers in the business, line managers in, let's say, marketing, research and development, operations, finance and other admin department and so on. That the HR department with its staff provides an advisory and a support and expertise role insofar as HR matters are concerned. But HR does not have line manager responsibility for the staff in the various departments. Okay? You've got an advisory role, you've got a support role, you've got a strategic support role, but you don't have line manager accountability for the people in those departments. You will work very closely with those departments and build good relationships, but again, I emphasize at the end of the day, you don't have line manager responsibility, or the head of HR doesn't have that responsibility. So what I'm mentioning here is there's a role for HR. In this sense, the HR division will be involved with, and that was load shedding kicking in that beep. The HR division will be involved with planning for the entire company's employee requirements in terms of overall company, what is called headcount and related costs. In this overall master staffing planning effort, the HR manager will work very closely with finance and the rest of the business managers, and the MD, CEO, and the board of directors may be involved of the business to ensure that the plan meets the requirements of the business's strategic intentions. Although the HR department head might be the custodians of the master staffing plan, after completion of this exercise, in terms of the general principle of responsibility accounting, which I've explained earlier about the accountability of each line manager, each department in the business will reflect their direct employee cost in their departmental budget. You will also see, for example, in the prescribed reading budget chapter, the chapter shows the marketing department budget, in which the budget shows salaries and related costs as personnel expenses in the marketing department's budget. The general idea is that the marketing managers in this example, the marketing manager has the final say in her or his staffing decisions with support from the HR division and aligned with the master staffing plan described above. The marketing department manager, again, using that department as an example, must therefore carry the responsibility and be accountable for the marketing department's personnel expenses. For example, if the company wants to reduce their headcount, the board will instruct the CEO or MD, and the CEO or MD in turn will instruct each of its heads of department to plan for a reduction of employees of, let's say, 7%. In such a scenario, if we consider, for example, again, marketing department, the marketing head of department is the person that knows how their department operates and where staff can be reduced. For example, the marketing head will know where perhaps work can be combined, added to other roles. In such an employee reduction scenario, the HR department staff can play a support role in advising the company about the procedures relating to the employee reduction situation. And the marketing head may also consult with the HR department about specific issues with specific positions. In a similar vein, the HR manager is responsible for the HR department, and in terms of responsibility accounting, the HR manager will be responsible for and held accountable for his or her HR department staffing costs. To explore the reduction in employee numbers example further, in the process of each department reviewing their headcount, they will adjust their employee cost new budget accordingly for presentation to the top executives. The HR head, as custodian of the master staffing plan, which is not the HR department's budget, but it's an overall plan for staffing, the HR head will update that staffing plan to reflect the total company situation, which will aid HR to plan their departmental service delivery, and it will aid the top executives to have a bird's eye view of the total company employee headcount and cost to company. However, each department will carry their employee cost in their departmental budgets. Therefore, For the purpose of this module, the HR department budget will show the HR department employee-related cost, and the other divisions in the business will show their employee cost in their departmental divisional budgets. In budget reviews, the management team will account for their departmental divisional budget expenditure, and where needed, the team will also reflect on the master staffing plan and the actual versus budget comparisons to retain an overall sense of the employee cost to company cost. So with that context, you now, as the HR person, is faced with preparing your departmental budget in a draft form. You want to do a draft before you consult with the financial planning, before you present it to the financial planning department for their review. Okay. And then that finance will then at that point help you to finalize your HR department budget. But in the meantime, as sort of said before, the business would have discussed, and there would be various scenarios, and you would have had already interaction with the finance department, but now you're sitting back and you want to do the draft on your own and then go back to finance to present. So based on all the pre-budget planning sessions, like the master staff planning sessions within the HR department and between the HR department and the other departments within the company, you have the following information available relating to 2023. So the information that you have available, these first three pieces of information would be kind of related to that master staffing plan. So these three items, inverted commas, can be seen as a proxy of that bigger plan. So from that plan, you get some information, and the HR division can use that information to plan for their support for the business based on a total number of employees and so on. So the total number of employees in a company on 31 December is 812. It includes HR department staff. The sales division predicts an increase of 12% in sales volume, but because of planned increase in productivity and excess current capacity of staff, staffing levels, excluding HR department, are expected to rise by only 3%. Furthermore, in terms of this master staffing and overall view of employee costs, the company plans an average salary-related total cost to company increase of 6%. So total cost to company would be the basic salary plus bonuses plus pension funds plus all the cost that the employee, or the benefit that the employee gets in terms of value. So there's a 6% increase in that. I've explained this. The above 3 points is the kind of proxy of this master staffing plan. So now we're going into the specific HR budget elements, okay? So the HR department plans for each staffing levels to reduce to 11 people from 12 because of one staff member's retirement with effect from 1 January 2023, and the other staff member has resigned effective on the same date as the retiree. The person who has resigned will be replaced at the salary which is 15% lower than the current cost to company of 800,000 Rand for that position. And this new person can only start in April 2023. The retiree's cost to company annual package, salaries unrelated, for the 2022 year is 875,000 Rand, and this position will not be filled. So then there are various budget elements that have been planned in consultation with the rest of the business in terms of support needed and so on. So, for example, HR plans for a more extensive HR external audit, the cost of which is estimated to be 300 Rand per employee. I'll explain this now in an Excel worksheet, how it's calculated. The company has decided to change the outsourced provider of the annual employee attitude survey to better align with its best company to work for strategy. The new contract provides a cost of 375 Rand per employee for the employee attitude survey. Because of the pending new legislation to be implemented in 2023, legal and related fees and labour relations consulting services are expected to rise by 20% each. And now the Board of Directors have got specific instructions. So they're concerned about the high staff turnover rate. And that's just an example of what the board may be concerned about. There may be other issues in terms of culture and so on of the business. That's just an example. So in this case, because of that and in support of the company's best company to work for strategy, the board has requested an outsourced consulting firm to review each job profile and associated competencies. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 450 Rand per job profile, but because there are duplicates, some people perform the same job, 10 people could perform a certain profile, for example. There are 500 different job profiles needed, as I mentioned, as some of the staff perform similar jobs. This is just extra information. A last profiling competencies assessment was done 3 years ago, and that really is when you pick it up in the list of budget items, you will see that there's no number for this in the 2022 column. Also, the board has requested a more comprehensive job grading review. The last job grading review was done 3 years ago. Also, there will be no 2022 budget, you will see. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 425 Rand per employee. Then the business wants to expand the new leaders program. This will increase the cost of this program by 151,000 Rand. And then the business also planning a revised, more focused onboarding program, also sometimes called an induction program for new employees. The cost of this will be 500 Rand per employee for 2023, and the number of new employees will be limited to the 3% staff increase, excluding the HR department. Okay. And then all the other costs not mentioned in the above instructions, all other costs will increase from the current year, January to December amounts, in line with the staffing level increase of 3%, and also an increase of 5% for inflation. Okay, so I will explain this to you now. There's the template that you will see when you open this document. So these are the various budget items, and this is also what you will see in the module outline question. It's similar to that. The numbers are different. So I'm going to just minimize that and go to the Excel spreadsheet. We may want to just come back to this, but let's go to the Excel spreadsheet. I just want to find the right one. Where is that? Question, yeah, it's this one. I'll call it budget question deconstructed, because I really deconstruct it step by step. So we can look at this, and I'll just I want to just do it this way. My recording window button is down here, and if I keep this full screen, I can't access sometimes the information down here. It's just awkward. There's a side comment. Okay. So what I've got in here is I've got a whole host of tabs in this worksheet, and each tab has got a specific purpose. So if I start off with that's what you had in that instructions document, except here for the sake of presentation, only for having it on one view, I've put it next to one another. There's no meaning here in terms of left or right, debit or credit. There's nothing like that here. It is just for convenience that I put next to one another, so we can see everything kind of in one glance. Okay, so these are the numbers that is in that sheet, and the total for the year that estimated for this current year is that 16 odd million Rand. So Now let's first look at the total employees, because you were given some information to be able to calculate that. So the total number of staff, including HR, was mentioned as 812. HR staff included in the above line is 12. Because there's an increase in headcount excluding HR, you want now to have the HR, the company staff excluding HR, which is 800, which is 812 minus 12. And then there was the 3% increase of that complement of staff, which excludes HR. And 3% of 800 is 24 more staff members. So total staff less the HR department is 824. And as you saw in the instructions, the HR department's headcount will reduce from 12 to 11, which means your new estimated, in terms of the master staffing plan, headcount for the new year is estimated to be at 835. Okay, that's the starting point for you. You'll use this information for various calculations, for those, among others, that the board looked at, and also the ones before that. So now we're going to the HR department employees budget for the HR department's employees only. And the instruction here is from that document that I went through a while ago. The HR department plans for its staffing level to reduce to 11 from 12. I read that earlier, from 1 January. One member resigned, and the other one is retiring. The person who resigned will replace the salary 15% lower than the current cost to company of 800,000 for that position, and a new replacement employee will only start in April. The retiree's cost to company was that, or is that, and this position will not be filled. So to deconstruct it, I'm simply starting with each line item, and this color-coded is what I will address in each of the Excel spreadsheets. The next one that, the next one that, and then one sheet for both those two, and then another one, another one, another one, another one. And these will all increase with the same calculation. So I've got them highlighted in gray, which will come to that spreadsheet or that sheet later on. So I've already done the calculation. The new year budget is that, but I want to show you now where that comes from. And I will do this so that you can follow the calculation. So the HR department employee cost for 2022 is that which is given, that's given to you, and then 12 staff members. There's one retirement, which means minus that person's cost to company and minus the one employee. There's a resignation, minus 800,000, minus one employee. But then there's a new person appointed, and the new person's salary, cost to company, adjusted for 9 months only, is 510,000. That is plus one employee. The total cost to company at 2022 values is that, for 11 people, the 6% salary increase is calculated like that, which is that value, and then the total HR departmental employee budget and headcount for the HR department is then that adjusted 9185,960, which is the sum of those two. So to calculate the 510,000 rand for the new appointee, we start off with the 800,000, which is the resigned employee's cost to company. And remember, the instructions said that you need to reduce that by 15%. So 15% of 800,000 is 800,000 times 15 divided by 100. That gives you 120,000. The reduced salary is 800,000 minus 120,000. It is 680,000 per annum. But a new appointee will only start work in April, which is a 9 months period. And Therefore, the new appointee salary budget for 9 months, and follow this calculation, is full year value times 9 divided by 12, or you can do it the other way. If that's the full year, you divide it by 12 and you get a monthly figure and you multiply it by 9. Okay, and that will give you the 510,000 Rand then. Okay. If I go a little bit fast, you're welcome. You will obviously stop and maybe just listen again and then go back and until you fully master the calculation. So let's move on to the next calculation. So the next calculation is the HR external audit. So here I've added that line item, so it's another step, another line item will now be completed. I've already done the calculation, and I'll show you how I've done it. That's the last year, the current year rather, and this is the budget for the next year. So how did I calculate that? The instructions read as follows: HR plans for a more extensive HR external audit, the cost of which is estimated to be 300 Rand per employee. So it's 300 Rand per employee, and it will be 300 Rand per employee, estimated number of employees in a total company, for the next year, which is the number that you calculated in one of the previous sheets of 835, estimated cost at 300 Rand per employee, and it's a multiplication of 835 times 300, and that's 250,500. Okay? So the employee attitude survey, is that's the number in the current year, and that's the revised budget number, and the instructions were as follows. The company has decided to change the outsourced provider of the annual employee attitude survey to better align with its best company to work for strategy. The new contract provides for a cost of 375 per employee for the employee attitude survey. Okay, so the estimated headcount is 835 again. The number per person is 375, and that's the revised number that goes in there. Okay. The next budget item, the labor relations and legal fees, and I've added those two now. I've calculated the amounts there. The amounts are calculated as follows, and that is that the current year is 121,000 and 110,200 respectively for those elements. A percentage increase of 20 is 121,000 times 20 divided by 100 gives you 24,200. The same calculation for that item is 110,200 times 20 divided by 100. It's 22,040. And you know the same thing, if you're maths oriented, you can also simply divide 110,200, which is the 100% number, divide that by 100 to get 1%, and then you multiply that by 20, which gives you 20%. Okay, so the budget estimates for 2023 is 121 plus 24,200, which is that, 110,200 plus 22,040, which is that, and and that is the labor relations and legal fees budget elements over there. Okay, so the next element is the job profile and competency assessment, which again, that's a new item. But remember, I said 3 years ago they had one, but not last year or this year. So now the new number is that, and it's calculated as here, as mentioned here. An outsourced consulting firm to review each job profile and associated competencies. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 450 Rand per job profile, and there are 500 of those. So profiles is 500, cost 450. It's a multiplication, which gives you 225,000 Rand, which is the value in there. Okay. So then the job grading review adjustment. So there we get to the job grading. That's also was done last 3 years ago. So that's a cut out of the forecast budget number is that which I've calculated, and I'll show you how I've done that. And there's nothing to compare it with because it was only done 3 years or more than 3 years ago. So the instruction here is a more comprehensive job grading review. The last job grading review is 3 years ago. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 425. It is again the 835 times the 425 gives you that value, which is then in the budget. And then the new leaders program, that was simply the program, which is that value for the current year, will increase by 151,000, and it's an additive addition function. So the current cost is that. The cost increase is 151, and the one plus the other is 700,000, and that is the value over there. I'll show you how the Excel calculations are done shortly. So this is the onboarding induction program, and it says here a revised, more focused onboarding program. The cost of this will be 500 Rand per employee for 2023. However, the number of new employees in this instance will be limited to the 3% staff increase on that number, which excludes the HR department. So you will remember that we did that number over here. Total employees, is this the one? Yeah. So it was 800. 3% of that is 24, and that's the number that you will use, okay? So is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. So I've actually got it here. Okay, 812, 12, 800, 24, 824, 11, 835. But you use that number, estimated staff increase on the above line value, which is the 3%, which is 24. And then it's another multiplication issue, which is 24 times 500 gives you 12,000. So before I go to other expenses, I just want to cycle back to these calculations and show you how you would display them in Excel. Okay, so that is the baseline. So total employees, that's a number that you're given. That's a number that you are given. So it's a subtractive. You start an Excel formula with equal, and then you specify the one cell reference, which is D2. Can you see there? That's a cell reference. Okay, so D2, and you want to deduct 12 from it, and 12's cell reference is D3. So it is D2 minus D3, which gives you 800. Okay, so all the calculations is equal, and then whatever the calculation is that you want to perform. So this is a relatively easy one because it's a minus sign is used as a minus sign in Excel as well. Okay, that's 20, and then the 24 is the multiplication, and in multiplication in this Excel you use an asterisk as a multiplication indicator. So here you want to increase 800 with 3%. So D4 is the cell reference for 800, and you want the answer to be here. So what you do here is you say equal D4, which is that one, and then the Excel way of expressing a percentage is 3% will be 0.03, okay? Because 1 equals 100%, therefore 0.3 equals 3%. Okay, so and then you do an additive again. You add D4 plus D5, D4 plus D5. Then your adjusted HR head count of 11 is additive. You add D6 and D7, D6 and D7, okay? So the employee budget, these are, let me see what I need to help you here with, is I've explained it over there. Let me do the Excel bit. So that's given to you. Retirement is that number, resignation is that. So let's show you how you do that one, the 510,000 in Excel. Yeah, I think I can do it over there. So it is here 800,000 minus 15%. So we want to do 800,000 and calculate 15% on that. So you will have 800 equal 100, 1, 2, 3, and you will do times, comma 1, 5. Okay, and that gives you 120,000. The asterisk for multiplication, 15% is 0.15, because 1 equals 100, and therefore 100 equal, therefore 15% equals 0.15. Okay, so that's the calculation for that. And then you want to reduce the 800,000, so equal 800,000 minus that value. So you get 680,000. So that is simple deduction. And then you've got that number. So now you want to calculate the fact that the person is only going to work for 9 of the 12 months. So you need to take this number and you can say equal that number, and the division calculation in Excel uses a slash sign. So you want to divide that by 12, and you want to multiply that by 9. And there's your 510,000 Rand. Go back to the video and look at how I calculated that. You can also, you don't have to explain all this when you provide your answers to us, but you can calculate this line item over here. You can calculate that by starting with the 800,000. Is that 800,000? You want to reduce that by 15%. If you want to reduce that by 15%, the remainder is 85%. So what you do is you multiply it by 0.85, which is 85% when you express it as a 1, 1 being 100%. So you're reducing that by 0.85, to 0 in there. and then you need to reduce that, the value that you get there, you want to reduce that by 75%. So you calculate a further 0.75. So just follow me. 800,000. Deduct 15%. In other words, 85% remains, which is that. So you reduce that by 15%, which gives you a number, which is the 85% number. You need to reduce that by 75% because the person only works for 9 months, and then your value will be that. Okay, just reflect on that calculation when you cycle back. And then, of course, the salary increase, I don't think I've calculated that for you, but there's the formula there. So the 6% increase, which is times 6 divided by 100, or divided by 100 times 6, equals that number. So what you want to do here is you want to take the C29 number, which is the cost to company at 2022 values after the reduction in headcount, and you want to increase that by 6%. So the 6% value is that. So it's C29 times 0.06, 0.06 being the 6% indicator, and that's what 6% is. And then this number here is simply C29 plus C30. C29 plus C30. Okay. The external audit, the way you calculate that is it was a simple multiplication. So what you do in Excel is you would say equal 835 times 300, and that would give you the 250,500. Okay. So you can put that number directly in here. You can do the calculation over there in the answer template. It will be easier just to do it over there. Practice it here, but then you can just do it over there. Okay. The employee attitude survey, the same thing. It is equal 835 times 375, which gives you the 313,125. Okay. The labor relations and legal fees, they increase with 20%. So the numbers here, I've indicated it over here for you. It's 121,000 times 20 divided by 100 gives you that. And 110,000 times 20 divided by 100 gives you that. And then you add those numbers to the relevant numbers there, and you get to the relevant numbers over there, the 121 and 110, to give you that number there. You can also do it in a quicker way. It's an easy cell formula in Excel rather, which if you take 121,000 equal 121,000, and you want to increase it by 20%, the formula in Excel will be times 1 for 100%, and then comma 2 for the 20 extra percent, and then you will get the 145,200 is over there, and the same thing with the equal 110,200 times 1,2 gives you the 132,240. The job profile and competencies. An outsourced consulting firm is to review each job. The cost of 2023 is estimated to be 450 per profile. There are 500 profiles. I've shown you the calculation earlier, so the Excel formula is equal 500 times 450, which gives you 225. Okay. the job grading review, a more comprehensive review. The cost for 2023 is estimated to be 425. So again, working total company employees here, 425, and the Excel formula is equal that number multiplied by, and I'm showing you now how to do calculations where you don't have to insert the numbers, type them in. Okay, so that is 354,875. So you take D21, which is that, and you multiply it by D22, which is that, and that gives you the number over there, which is there. Okay. New Leaders Program. It's a simple additive, as I showed you, which is equal 549 plus 151, and that gives you the 700,000. Okay. So New Leaders Program, the onboarding induction program, that is multiplication. Again, you've got 24, remember the 24 employees I mentioned to you earlier on. That's the 3% on the 800, the 800 being the estimate of the number of employees for 2022, excluding HR. 3% of that is 24, and the question says that you need to calculate the 500 Rand per employee based on the 3% staff increase, which is the 24. And that is equal 24 times that one, and it gives you 12,000 Rand. Okay, so let's get into the other expenses, which I'll explain to you now. So we're looking at rather the other expenses now. So here you have all of these expenses and all of those expenses, and the instructions reads that all other costs will increase from the current year, January to December, amounts in line with the staffing level increase of 3% and a 5% inflation increase. So the example of entry here would be where you have salary survey at 20,000, okay, which is 20,000. The 2022 cost must increase with 2 percentages, which is the one is 20,000 plus 3%, which is 20,000 times 3 divided by 100, or divided by 100 times 3 gives you 600. The new total for this expense after the first calculation is 20,600. And because the increase, there's an increase on the increase, like cumulative interest, it is calculation 2. The second percentage increase will now be applied, which is the 2,600. 2,600 add 5%, which is 2,600 times 5 divided by 100 is 1030. And the salary expenses, therefore, is that value, the 2,600, plus the 1030, which is 21,630. So in Excel, you can simplify the above calculation by creating the formula. In Excel, the multiplication sign is, as I explained, is an asterisk, and the division sign is a slash, and addition and subtraction is plus and minus. So your base cost of 20,000 increases by 5%. In Excel, the formula is increase the base cost increased by, that should be, I've swapped this around, guys. So the 5% here, let me just go back to that increase. It's 5% and 3%. I've just swapped the numbers around here. So this one should read, and you will be looking at the Excel spreadsheet when you do this, so it's not going to make sense for you. So I'll tell you what, I'll fix this in the sheet that I've uploaded. So let me just do that. The base cost increase by 5%, and the formula is that. Okay, which is the first one? The 3%. The 3% was the first one. So let's just do it by 3%. 3% in Excel, the formula is 3. Okay, which 3%, the number was actually correct, so it is 2600. Your cost result after adding 3% is now 2600. This must now be increased by a further 5%. In Excel, the formula is that. Okay, you can further reduce the steps in Excel by creating one formula. The salary survey cost is depicted in cell C12 in the above. Okay, C12 over there. The costs, base costs in Excel, the salary you can reduce further. So here we are. The salary cost is depicted in cell C12 above. C is the Excel sheet's column heading, which is the top sheet left to right, which is over on top here. And the 12 is the row indicator, which is the left side here. There's the row indicator. Okay, left side of the sheet. You want the answer to 3% and 5% increase to be displayed in cell D12 above. So you want that to be in D12. I mean, rather here D12. Okay. So what you do is you can calculate the formula as follows, where remember what I said to you, it's interest on interest. So C12 is the last year's number with the current year budget. You increase that by 3% and you increase it further by 5%. And that is the formula that you can then use. Okay, so let's just go there and we see if I've done it over there. Yeah, there we go. C12 times 1.03 times 1.05 is that number. And then for example, for the employee wellness program, it is C13, which is then you apply the same formula over there. And when you come across to here, remember it's just for the ease of seeing what is on one page. Recruitment cost is that, and you apply that same formula to all these gray highlighted cells, and you'll get to the right answer. Okay. For this worksheet, I've calculated the sum is over there, and then that's brought forward, and then this total here is just the sum of all of that. Okay, and so that is your new year, and it is more than the previous year. And let's go to the next step, and that is the HR budget. Another worksheet that I have here, where I want to show you how to calculate percentage increase or decrease, which is also something you need to fill out to calculate in the Excel worksheet for your submission. So I've brought all the other numbers across just as values for the sake of this explanation. So this is the estimate, this is the budget based on all those calculations, the bottom lines, and now the percentage increase and decrease. So here is a decrease, which is a negative amount. You can see salaries is less than last year, okay, or less than the budget, the base year. So your calculation for all of these elements is that you first take the calculation of do it over there of this number, this D number, the current year number, and you deduct the budget number rather, and you deduct the base number from that. Okay, so you can see that's the first part of the calculation. Equal sum does that for you. When you put it in brackets, it will do that for you. And then what you want to do is you want to divide the result of that calculation. You want to divide it by C3, which is that number, because you want to get the increase or the decrease relative to the current year, the base year. So if you do that, this column is formatted as a percent column. So that is the calculation over there. So if you do the calculation, you will perhaps arrive at something that looks like, let's just do this. Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll format the cells to be percentage, and you can just put that formula in there and it will convert it to percentage for you automatically. You don't have to multiply by 100 or do anything like that. Okay, so you just do that calculation for the whole lot here, up, down, downstairs. So what you'll do is that's the formula that you develop, and what you do is you then copy that formula, and you then highlight the whole lot here, and you say click on this down arrow button where it says paste, and that FX is formula, so you want to paste the formulas. Okay, so you paste the formulas, and there it is, all calculated. And then what you will find is this will not calculate it because it doesn't have a base year, and you will just say that's a new value. Okay, and that's a new value. Okay. So, yeah. And, okay, so what I wanted to just confirm with you is the negative amount means the budget is, in this case, 6.6% lower than the expense for the previous year. The positive amount means the budget is 271.1% higher than last year for this line item. As I mentioned here, no calculation available. And then example of, just the example of calculation. We're not using Excel. It's just for you to see it. So the budget amount less the previous amount is 700 minus 549 for that yellow highlighted line. It's 151,000. A difference of positive amount 151,000 divided by the last year amount of 549,000 is 27.5%. Convert 27,275 into percentage. It is 0.275 times 100 is 27.5%. It's positive, therefore it's an increase compared with the previous year. And then there's another example here of a negative, which is a reduction in the budget, a reduction of 94%. So which is the current year number of 12,000 minus 200,000, which is a massive minus 188,000. That's a negative number. The difference of negative amount divided by last year's amount of that is 94 minus 0.94. Convert minus 0.94 into percentage equals minus 0.94 times 100 equals minus 94%. Minus 94 is a negative, therefore it is a decrease compared with the previous year. So that's how you calculate that. Just in case you want to know, if you let's say you just do, see there, that is, let me just see if I can, that's the, it's 6%, 6.6%, but if you don't if you don't make this a percentage cell, format it as a percentage, it will show as that. But because you want it to show as percentage, what you do if your cell looks like that, you click on this percentage sign here. And at 7%, you want more decimals to show, so you click left there and it shows you minus 6.6%. Okay. Okay, so that's how you do the increase decrease in that column. And then what I've got here is this worked example as the way it will look in the answer template for your assessment, the one that I uploaded to the assessment section. So you will get this Excel spreadsheet and you will see where the numbers belong. It's simply, once you've done all the calculations, you can do the head count and the budget in this piece here. It is nicely laid out for you over here. You know, you can just see what we're grading. And then here are the budget assumptions, you know, the head count, the percentage increase, you know, and all the numbers there that will be shown in earlier sheets that you can compare. And then this is essentially what I've shown you all along just now. In this case, there's 2 decimals there. It could be 1, doesn't matter. Maybe keep it at 2 because that's the format of it. And then, yeah, so this is just brought across. You will, as I mentioned, you can have your calculations in here like I have it in here once you understand how you've done that. For example, there, that is a formula. That's a formula. You can look at how that is calculated and get yourself familiar with this Excel answer template. This is the one that you will fill in and submit. Let me see if there's anything else I need to speak with you about here. This is a long video, but please, I hope you've managed to get to this point. Yeah, so this is it. So let me just minimize that and show you what you will see as the answer template. Where's the answer template? So the budget student name, this is the one that you will have, is this is the one you will download. You'll download it and have a name like that, and then the student name piece here, where that is, just type your name in and keep the rest of it there. And this will be the template that you will fill in, which you can see it is the same as the one that I just showed you there. I just want to test something while I have you online. So let's just do any number here. 8 million. 8 million now. So I want to just see what the format is of that cell there. Equal this minus that equals sum. That minus that. And then you want to divide it by the previous year. Yeah, it's formatted as percentage, so you can simply put that calculation in there. Okay. So this is what your sheet will look like. And what else is there that I can show you? The activity. Let me show you the activity quickly. So this one was this is the activity. So I developed an activity for you, which is the same calculation types. Numbers differ. So it gives you practice so you can work through this. I've got that whole story around the HR row in there, but all the rest the same calculation. So you will get this where the activity is on the MySayCap, and then what you will receive next to that at the bottom of that will be, let's just delete that or take that out, and then you will have, which is that, this activity answer template. So you then must take that instruction Word document and then do your calculations in here, okay? Because by now you would have practiced and you should be able to put it in here, okay? And if you, yeah, well, let me not complicate it with what I was going to say now, okay? So just fill this out in activity, and then what I will also provide you for the activity is, which is the one now, I provide you with a model answer, but don't look at this. Try the exercise first and then you can cross-check with this. And if you try the exercise, if you struggle, go back to the explanations in this video and in that deconstruct the example that I've explained page by page in Excel with those color-coded bits, and see whether you can get to grips with that before you come to the model answer. You know, accounting, finance is 1% inspiration, and 99% perspiration. So you need to do the work. Okay. So that's that. And then what else is there? This is the one that I showed you with all the Excel sheets, which you will have. Okay. So enjoy.